Hello， 来秋，还记得这只在玩游戏的猴子吗？它没有拿任何的摇杆或者是道具，直接靠脑波呢就可以操纵我们的游戏了。
Now that he's up to speed, let's increase the difficulty and see how well Pager can play with the Neuralink.
那这一套系统呢，是由 Neuralink 所开发出来的 BCI Brain Connecting Interface， 也就是脑机界面。那2025年的现在呢，最近 Elon Musk 又提出了他们最新的发布会内容哦。那到底内容有多精彩，以及 Neuralink 到底现在进展的如何？那法哥马上开始今天的主题。那如果你真的超忙，有3个 take home message 直接告诉你哦。第一呢 ，Neuralink 要打造这个输出的设备，也就是呢用意念来控制电脑。那第二个呢是打造输入的设备，也就是呢让外界透过眼镜的方式呢，再透过 Neuralink 来传到我们大脑里面。那第3个呢是它要渗透到我们大脑的每一个神经元里面，让神经元呢可以发送讯号或者是接受 Neuralink 的讯号。那剩下的内容呢，我们就直接开始再讲吧。那首先我们先来看第一个亮点哦。那第一个亮点呢是 Neuralink 推出了一个叫做 Telepathy， 也就是心电感应的产品。他们其实在2023年就获得 FDA 的核准哦。那在这部影片当中呢，他们有提供了一些可能瘫痪的使用者呢植入这些装置。那其中呢包含脊髓损伤的，还有渐冻人 ALS 的患者。那他们植入之后呢，现在已经可以用 Neuralink 的设备玩马里奥赛车，甚至是 Call of Duty 决胜时刻哦。那我们来看一下这段内容。
And we currently have a clinical trials in the US for a product that we call Telepathy, which allows users to control phone or computer purely with their thoughts. And you're going to see how we do this and what the impact that this has had. And we're just beginning. This is just tip of the iceberg. Our end goal is to really build a whole brain interface. And what do we mean by whole brain interface? We mean being able to listen to neurons everywhere, be able to write information to neurons anywhere, be able to have that fast data wireless transfer to enable that high bandwidth connection from our biological brain to the external machines, and be able to do all of this with fully automated surgery, as well as enable 24 hours of usage. And towards that goal, we're really working on 3 major product types. Elon mentioned earlier that our goal is to build a generalized input-output platform and technology to the brain. So for the output portion of it, we're starting out with helping people with movement disorders, either through where they lost the mind-body connection, either through a spinal cord injury, ALS, or stroke, be able to regain some of that digital as well as physical independence through a product that we're building called Telepathy. And to share more about what that experience is like, I'd like to welcome Sahej to the stage.
What the Neuralink device does right now is it allows you to control devices simply just by thinking. Now, to put that a bit more concretely, I'm about to play a video of our first user. His name is Noland, if you remember from DJ Section. And what Noland is doing is he's looking at a normal off-the-shelf MacBook Pro. And with his Neuralink device, as you're going to see, he's going to be able to control the cursor simply with his mind, no eye tracking, no other sensors. And what's special about this particular moment is this is the first time someone is using a Neuralink device to fully control their cursor. Yeah, another really fun thing you could do with the Neuralink device outside of controlling a computer cursor is you could actually plug it in through USB through a lot of different devices. And here we actually have Nolan playing Mario Kart. Now, what's special about this particular clip is Nolan is not the only cyborg playing Mario Kart in this clip. We actually have a whole community of users, as mentioned earlier, and this is literally 5 of our first users of Neuralink playing Mario Kart together over call. Yeah. Yeah. Mario Kart it's cool. You know, you're using one joystick and then you're clicking like a couple buttons to throw items. What would be even cooler is what if you could control 2 joysticks at once, simultaneously with your mind. What I'm about to show you, and I think this is for the first time someone playing a first-person shooter game with a brain-computer interface. This is Alex and RJ playing Call of Duty, controlling one joystick to move and then the other joystick to, like, point your gun and then shooting people as a button. Here's Alex shooting another person.
Right. Oh, dear God. Oh, that's
I know I do, and I want him to freaking shoot you won't when I do.
RJ, Alex got you.
I know, dude. Shot me in the face.
那刚才我们有提到渐冻人，也就是 ALS 的患者。那以往呢，他们只能够透过这种眼球追踪的方式呢，来做输入键盘的方式。但这个方式呢，在家里可能可以，但是到户外呢，非常的不实用。那有了 Neuralink 之后呢，他们现在已经可以带小朋友出门玩然后甚至呢，还可以跟陌生人进行沟通。我们来看一下这一段内容。
Next, I want to talk a bit about Brad. You guys may already know him as the ALS cyborg. And Brad also has ALS, and what separates him from our other users is he's actually nonverbal, so he can't speak. Why this is pretty relevant is he relies, at least before the Neuralink, on an eye gaze machine to communicate. And a lot of eye gaze machines you can't use outdoors. You really need like a dark room. So what this means is for the last 6 years since Brad's been diagnosed with ALS, he's really unable to leave his house. Now with the Neuralink device, we're going to show you a clip of him with his kids at the park, shot by Ashley Vance and the team.
Okay, you guys ready? No, Abdul's taking it. Okay.
I am absolutely doing more with Neuralink than I was doing with eye gaze. I have been a Batman for a long time, but I go outside now. Going outside has been a huge blessing for me. And I can control the computer with telepathy.
第三个亮点呢，则是结合了 Neuralink 以及呢特斯拉很厉害的 Optimus 机器人现在呢，我们已经可以透过 Neuralink 来操作机械手臂。
The last user I want to talk about is Alex. You've seen some clips of him earlier. What's special about Alex to me is he's a fellow left-handed guy who writes in cursive all the time. And what he mentioned is since a spinal cord injury from like 3-4 years ago, he's been unable to just like draw or write. And he always brags about how good his handwriting was. So we actually got to put it to the test. We gave him a robotic arm. And I think this is the first time he tried using the robotic arm to write anything. And this is a sped up version of writing at the convoy trial and drawing something. Fortunately, we have connections with Tesla, who have the Optimus hand. And we're actually actively working on giving Alex an Optimus hand so that he could actually control it in his real life. And here's the actual replay of the end of that video using Alex's neural signals on an Optimus hand. Sean, if you want to play that. Yeah.
那最后关于 Neuralink 以及 Optimus 擎天柱的一些应用呢 ，Elon Musk 也给了我们一些线索。那另外还有2028年前面的 roadmap 也可以看一下。
Actually, let me maybe add a few things to that, which is as we advance the Neuralink devices, you should be able to actually have full body control and sensors from an Optimus robot. So you could basically inhabit an Optimus robot. It's not just the hand, the whole thing. So you could like basically mentally remote into an Optimus robot and be kind of cool. The future's going to be weird, but pretty cool. And then now, obviously, another thing that can be done also is like for people that have, say, lost a limb, lost an arm or a leg or something like that, then we think in the future we'll be able to attach an Optimus arm or legs. And so you kind of like, I don't know if you remember that scene from Star Wars where Luke Skywalker gets his hand, chopped off with a lightsaber and he gets kind of a robot hand. And I think that's the kind of thing that we'll be able to do in the future, working with Neuralink and Tesla. So that it goes far beyond just operating a robot hand, but replacing limbs and having kind of a whole body robot experience. And then I think another thing that will be possible, I think is very likely in the future, is to be able to bridge the where the damaged neurons are. So you can take the signal from the brain and transmit that signal past where the neurons are damaged or strained to the rest of the body. So you could reanimate the body so that if you have a Neuralink implant in the brain and then one in the spinal cord, then you can actually bridge the signals and you could walk again. and have full body functionality. Obviously, that's what people would prefer, to be clear. We realize that would be the preferred outcome. And so that even if you have a broken neck, or you could still, we believe, I'm actually, at this point, I'd say fairly confident that at some point in the future, we'll be able to restore full body functionality.
So now, just to step you through what the product evolution is going to look like in the next 3 years, today what we have is 1,000 electrodes in the motor cortex, the small part of the brain that you see in this animation called the hand knob area, that allows participants control computer cursors as well as gaming consoles. Next quarter, we're planning to implant in the speech cortex to directly decode attentive words from brain signals to speech. And in 2026, not only are we going to triple the number of electrodes from 1,000 to 3,000 for more capabilities, we're planning to have our first blind sight participant to enable navigation. And in 2027, we're going to continue increasing channel counts, probably another triple, so 10,000 channels, and also enable, for the first time, multiple implants. So not just one in motor cortex, speech cortex, or visual cortex, but all of the above. And finally, in 2028, our goal is to get to more than 25,000 channels per implant, have multiple of these, have ability to access any part of the brain for psychiatric conditions, pain, dysregulation, and also start to demonstrate what it would be like to actually integrate with AI. And all this is to say that we're really building towards a set of fundamental foundational technology that would allow us to have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of channels with multiple implants for whole brain interfaces that could actually solve not just these debilitating neurological conditions, but be able to go beyond the limits of our biology. And this vertical integration and the talented team that we have at Neuralink has been and will continue to be the key recipe for rapid progress that we will be making. Just to recap real quick, Neuralink is implanted with precision surgical robot. It's physically invisible, and 1 week later, users are able to see their thoughts transform into actions.
其实整场发布会还有非常多的亮点，但时间的关系没办法一一介绍给大家，包含了脑机界面的实际运作方式，还有呢，我们现在盲人也可以透过 Neuralink 看到这个世界，甚至连红外线跟紫外线也看得到了。那我就把彩蛋留在后面哦，那记得按赞、订阅、来球啦，下次再见。
Such as controlling a phone, typing, or even gaming. Right here to my left is actual footage of Alex, one of our participants, playing a first-person shooter against RJ, another one of our participants. Now, for those unfamiliar with first-person shooters, this is not a trivial feat. It requires 2 fully independent joysticks, or 4 continuous degrees of control, as well as multiple reliable buttons. Now, contrary to popular belief, the Neuralink does not simply read people's minds. It's simply reading neuronal activations corresponding to motor intent. So one of the fun challenges with this project was figuring out which motions were going to be mapped to the joystick. We started with the typical left thumb and right thumb, but quickly found that the dominant hand overshadowed the non-dominant hand. My personal favorite is we had one of our participants imagine walking for the left joystick and aiming for the right joystick. So in-game, they were simply doing naturalistic motions, like you might do in virtual reality in Ready Player One. And that was really cool to watch. What we ended up on was the thumb for the left joystick and the wrist for the right joystick. And I challenged the audience to try to replicate their motions. I'm really in awe of them being able to pull this off. I want to talk a bit about the progress to our cursor calibration experience. To my left here, you can see RJ completing his first ever cursor calibration with a redesigned open loop flow where he first gathered information about his intent and how to map the neural activity, to the first time he controls a cursor, to the final product where he has smooth and fluid control of his computer. And most remarkably, this experience took only 15 minutes from start to finish. 15 minutes from not... 15 minutes from no control to fluid computer use. Contrast that to a year and a half ago with P1, where that was multiple hours to get to the same level of control and several engineers standing around a table pulling their hair out. There was virtually no need for Neuralink engineers to even be at this session. This was basically an out-of-the-box experience for our participant. And even more remarkably, we're continuing to smash day one records, with RJ being able to achieve 7 BPS on his very first day with the Neuralink. Now, such an effective and efficient calibration process is only made possible by high-fidelity estimations of a user intention, or labels. And to briefly illustrate just how challenging of a problem that is, this is an animation of myself trying to draw circles on my desktop with a mouse. Now, the task was simple: draw uniform circles at a constant speed repeatedly. And as you can see by that animation, I am horrible at that. Even though my intent was pretty obvious, unambiguous, the execution was really poor. There is a ton of variation in both speed and the shape itself. To visualize this a little differently, each row here is one of those circles unwound in time with synchronized starts. And you can just see how much variation there is in the timing of each circle as well as what I'm doing at any given point in time. Orthogonal to the labeling problem is neural non-stationarity, or the tendency of neural signals to drift over time. And I think that's honestly a beautiful thing, right? If your neural signals didn't drift, you couldn't grow. When you wake up the next day, you're not the same person you were the day before. You've learned, you've grown, you've changed. And so too must your neural data change. This animation here is a simple illustration of the learned representation by the decoder and how it drifts the further away we get from the day it was trained on. This is one of the key challenges we need to solve here at Neuralink to unlock fluid and product-level experience for our users.
Hey everyone, my name is Joey. Blind Sight is our project to build a visual prosthesis to help the blind see again. Users would wear a pair of glasses with an embedded camera and receive an implant in their visual cortex. Scenes from the environment are recorded by the camera and processed into patterns of stimulation delivered to the brain, causing visual perception and restoring functionality. Now, Blind Sight will be enabled by placing our implant into visual cortex. This is a new brain area for us, and this brings new opportunities and challenges. So the surface of the brain for visual cortex represents just a few degrees of angle in the center of the visual field. Larger fields of view are represented deep within the cortical folds of the calcarine fissure. Our threads are able to access these deeper structures, providing the possibility of restoring vision over a functionally useful visual field. So the N1 implant has had experimental stimulation capabilities for quite some time, but our new S2 chip is designed from the ground up for stimulation. It provides over 1,600 channels of electrical stimulation, high dynamic range recording capabilities, and a wide range of microstimulation currents and voltages. We can achieve these capabilities because we're vertically integrated and we designed this custom ASIC in-house. Similarly, we design and fabricate our electrode threads in-house. And here you can see one of our standard threads designed for recording in an electron micrograph. For Blind Sight, our requirements are a little different, and our vertical integration allows us to rapidly iterate on the design and manufacturing of these threads for this new purpose. So here, I'm using red arrows to highlight the electrode contacts, which are optimized for stimulation. And as you can see, they're a little bit larger, which results in a lower electrical impedance for safe and effective charge delivery, which is important for Blind Sight. Now, how can we calibrate our implant for Blind Sight? So here's one way. We stimulate on the array, picking, say, 3 different channels. The user perceives something, say 3 spots of light, somewhere in their visual field, and points at them. We track their arm and eye movements and repeat this process for each of the channels on the array.